Sounds straight.
Welcome to Southland Supporters, a St. Louis City SC podcast powered by Ready to Live Wellness, coming at you from the Warrior Logo Wear Studios. David Heck alongside Eric Cole and the Monday morning center back Dave Wyckoff. Gents, the trio is back. I know we take these breaks away from each other for weeks on end, but here we are, and we are talking about a second straight win for this local soccer club. I think the great Lou Brown in Major League said it best. You win today, that's a win, right? You win tomorrow, that's two in a row. One more, and that's a winning streak. Dare we say it, possible. Next week on the 27th, they'll take on LAFC. But for now, we'll discuss what happened in San Jose. Gents, how are we this evening?
Now all we need is a cardboard cutout of a scantily clad owner to rally this team to make the playoffs somehow.
I was going to suggest the Monday morning center back as a cardboard cutout,
like
and it's like a kolache that we peel off every time that exposes an area.
And he's holding a kolache underneath the kolache.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's hot.
And each week that we get a win, it could be the kolache of the week, and it's just like, which one do we have this week, boys? Plus, I think the fan, more so the Gorskys and the Kadlicks would really enjoy that on the YouTube.
I have been referred to as doughy before, so that kind of syncs up. But no, we're feeling great.
My freshman baseball coach used to say, heck, if you were more physically fit, you'd have caught that ball.
Oh, that guy was such an asshole. God,
Yeah,
he was
not
also
great.
my freshman baseball coach, and he was an asshole.
Even more the
Not
reason
great.
it's a shame that you don't have the highlight clip that you had of your softball over the fence catch the other day. You could have sent
God, what a
it his
catch.
way and been like,
Yeah.
look who's a little bit more physically fit nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible. They're still talking about that catch in town, believe it or not.
I heard him. I heard him talking about
I
it.
can't
Yeah.
get over. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were at Warrior Logo Wear a couple weeks ago. They were probably talking
I
about
was,
the side
yeah.
there. People
They
getting
were,
their
they
T-shirts,
were.
talking softball. Saw this this man make a great
They
catch
said kid.
on the first
Yeah, they
baseline.
said kid.
Did
They didn't know how old he was. He was just a silver fox leaping up and plucking balls from over the fence. It was incredible. All the townsfolk could talk about.
Speaking of kids, Brendan Mcsorley. He's been a fan favorite here on this podcast for going on a year plus at this point, as constantly makes his way into the DraftKings betting lines, even though he hasn't graced the pitch very often for this squad, but does on Saturday night. Nets a brace, involved in a third goal. What a performance by Brendan Mcsorley. I wish, had I seen that he was in the starting lineup and paid attention to DraftKings to see if he was there, I would have bet him. I didn't see. I'm not even sure he was an option to bet. It hadn't seemed like he'd been in there recently. It would only make sense for DraftKings to not pay attention to the actual starting lineup and not have him available to bet. But regardless, 2 huge goals and then another great play. And keeping a goal out of the back of the net. He did it all for City, and it was just an unbelievable performance and well-deserved for Mcsorley.
Yeah, I feel like I did the three of us a disservice and the fans a disservice by not dropping a bet on there on a goal. He was plus 310 on FanDuel to score. Now, for context, I believe Klaus was plus 290, and I think Marcel Hartl was plus 410, maybe. So the second most favored City player to score a goal. I thought it was absurd at the time. Clearly, Vegas was finally starting to pay attention. But yeah, what a performance, and the goals are fantastic, and the assist was showed a lot of offensive awareness, but he was just all over the place. He was S-housing it up, clearing the ball off the line. Like, he looked like he fit right in, and dare I say, he may have been overlooked with the quick rise of Mekhi Joyner. If we kind of go back and talk about, all those City 2 box scores that we talked about in news and notes for the last 2 years, Mcsorley found his way into the score sheet a lot. And I don't know if it was just sheer naivety that we just said, oh, well, he's on the score sheet, that's because City 2 just mollywops everybody they play. But this kid has got some game, man, and it I don't know if he took the opponent by surprise, but that was a clinic.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we've always acknowledged his play in City too, but I think you're right. It was maybe a little overshadowed by what we were constantly talking about with Joyner and Golden Brute Race and all that type of stuff. But you're right. When you go back and look at it, he was on the score sheet quite often for City 2, or if not, a lot of the play really developed through him. So, which in turn translated into his City 1 performance. I thought a lot of our attacking promise was through Mcsorley, but you hit it on the head. One of the things that I just love the most out of him coming into this squad is maybe something that City's been lacking a little bit on this year. Is just that S-House, that sort of desire for physicality and not caring, and almost just this we talked about it a lot with JGR, but just this unwilling drive to put himself into 50-50 balls and careless wrecking of his own physicality. But the thing I loved is he just really stayed in his position and did it well. And even on the first goal, I believe it was, Klaus drifts out wide, and rather than what we've noticed a lot is the winger just staying out wide and having congestion, nobody's in the box. He read that really well and then found himself in that dangerous position to then score. So just a lot of experienced soccer smarts on the field that night, but just to me the work ethic, and then just that smile of that cheeky smile that he was giving everybody, just or even to the fans, celebrating that, letting them know it was just good, and good on him, and just a great overall. I mean, you can't ask for a better starting debut than what he put out there.
And how about his comment after the game about how he wanted to go celebrate, but he wanted to find Klaus because of what Klaus has meant to him and how he took him under his wing from the first day he got there. By the way, that first goal was a gem of a team goal. I think it was Celio took it down the left side, cuts it back to Durkin, who plays a perfect ball to Klaus.
Perfect by Durkin.
Heads back across the middle, team goal, chef's kiss right there. Beautiful build-up. And then his last goal, that is a poacher's goal, man. That is a number 9 center forward, finding the gap in between the two center backs, and then getting that header on net. He's kind of got to adjust midair to a pretty good ball. I think it was Marcel played that ball to him, right? A pretty good little floated ball, and just buries it in the bottom corner. He looked like he belongs. I looked up the stats real quick on FootMob. So he's got 20 goals and 12 assists over the last 2 seasons at City 2 level. 52 games, 20 goals and 12 assists. So he's a player, man. And again, I feel ashamed that we this is what I believe myself I've expected out of Mackay. You know what I mean? This is the kind of debut that I would have expected out of Mackay. Now they're different players, but it's so awesome to see these guys getting the chance. And I know in this case it was probably because Sangbin was unavailable, being out of the country. But awesome just to get you're in a spot where the circumstances dictate that, okay, you're likely not going to make the playoffs. There's going to be an exodus of players, probably veteran players in this offseason. Let the kids play. That's what we've been talking about for months and months, right? Let the kids play. They're playing. They're showing out, man, and that's exciting to me.
Brendan Mcsorley, well-deserved, too. Team of the match day for him. I'm sure that'll be covered a little bit in greater detail and in news and notes from the back post coming up in just a bit. Marcel Hartle also getting some love in there, and those two, I should say, were involved in all 3 goals, so good to see Hartle be involved there as well. As far as I think maybe the biggest snub on that list was Roman Berkey. Berkey was incredible. Some of the best saves that I've seen in MLS action in some time now, probably since the last time Berkey had one of these types of performance. But 9 saves in this one, outside of the PK that he gave up. Nothing found its way to the back of the net, and this was a wild one. I mean, I looked at statistics coming into this podcast, in our prep session that we do heavily every single week leading up to this show.
Heavy prep.
4.9 expected goals for San Jose, and Berkey, I mean, kept the team in it. That could have gone a different direction very easily with some of the shots that they were taking, because they were quality chances.
Yeah, I put it out today, like, congrats for sure to especially Mcsorley for, like, having a starting debut like that, getting in the team in the match day. I mean, if it wasn't for Bouanga getting a hat trick, I think he could have been player of the match day, honestly. Cello, just an amazing, goal, involved in assists as well. And Berkey, I put out, like, man, it just feels almost criminal that he didn't find his way into that team of the match day, because that win doesn't happen if it wasn't for the performance that Berkey had back there. And what those were is, not only were they quality saves, but those to me were like good veteran saves. Like, we've kind of always hyped up Berkey with this, like, no spillage, no second chances off those, saves. Especially, like, there's a few in there that I think are, like, to the new viewer just look like routine saves, but those skip and bounces, the way he has to spill them across and not allow any sort of spillage directly out in front of goal, like Man U keepers seem to do all the time nowadays. But, like, he does that real well as far as, like, getting it clear and not allowing any sort of follow up on that. But it was just a great performance, and then as well leadership performance. You got to also figure with having what seems to be your new center backing pairing out for the game, and then you have this new center backing pairing coming in, like, that puts a lot more onus on Berkey to be your leader out there. So yeah, I mean, just a fantastic performance. Dave, I'll let you kind of get to your thoughts on Berkey, but it just popped into my head. Do you think with, like, this maybe, like, way we look at Mcsorley being, like, underrated, do you think it has to do with him being a draft pick and not some, like, academy kid that has been hyped for a while, or somebody who was brought in that has a lot of promise? With the game of soccer especially, draft picks aren't really somebody that, like, is going to carry you or get you those goals. Do you think that's maybe a reason he's been almost a little, like, put on the backside compared to, like, Joyner and some of these other kids, because he's just a draft pick, and we've kind of just been like, yeah, but I mean, it's soccer, you don't really utilize this. Do you think that has any play in this sort of, like, overlooking maybe a little bit?
Absolutely. I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think it's a lot more to do with, like, visibility than anything. Like, I admittedly don't watch a lot of full City 2 matches, not to say that I haven't. But we watch a lot of highlights and we watch box scores, and we rely on, people like Jay Clem and others to kind of give us reporting on these players. So I think that there's something to the idea that MLS, like, draft pick players don't get hyped like they do, like, in the NBA and in the NFL. That seems to be more of, like, a homegrown academy player, like you were kind of alluding to. But on Berkey, real quick, 9 saves. And, man, DH, do you remember the source that you got that XG number from? Are you looking at MLS XG?
I did see it on MLS XG. I saw it on City's, just on the highlights from City's website.
So FootMob has XG for San Jose at 3.3. That feels a lot more realistic than almost 5. Again, we're not the statistics podcast, but there is something to it when you look retrospectively at the game. Yes, the second half, especially after they scored the third goal, they sat in deep and kind of let San Jose have the run of play, run of possession. Actually, in the second half, San Jose had 68% possession, but their full game XG, according to FootMob, was 3.3. That feels a lot more realistic. A PK, I think, is 0.7 or 0.8 XG. Because of the location and the distance away from the goal, it should be 1, really, because you should score all your penalties. But my point being that I think that final number, while it was indicative of who pushed the tempo in the second half, I don't think it really shows how good of a game that City had. Now, it talks about how big of a role Berkey played. Absolutely. Some of those saves, not only were they great saves, but the timeliness. Like, if you're up 2 goals and we joke about the whole 2-goal lead thing, but it is a very fragile lead, particularly in a momentum game like soccer. If you're up 2 goals and you give up a goal in 75, 77. I think the one save he made off the corner, that the head ball that was headed to the corner, I want to say that was prior to like 80th minute. God, that was just absurd.
77th on that.
That was just absurd that he got to that ball. But my point being, that ball goes in at 77. Now you've got between 13 and 15 minutes left to kind of bunker up, and San Jose's already proven that they're going to go for it. So timeliness of these big saves is just important as the actual big save itself. I thought it was awesome that short of the PK goal, Chicho really didn't have too many open looks, as much as we hate that dude. He found a way to make his hair look more douchey, by the way. Did anyone notice that? Like, the douchiest hair in the league anyway, but then he decided to put it in little, like, mini tufts. Just an absolute asshat.
Until you mentioned until you mentioned Boyongo going into this, I thought for some reason Chicho was your guy, but you've cleared that up for me.
Well, let's clear that up, like, right away. Right away. Denny Boyonga miles ahead of Chicho Arango in terms of like MMCB love.
I feel like this needs to be a new Spurry thing where it's constantly known on this show that Arango is your favorite MLS player of all time.
Celio absolutely laid him out, too, on that PK.
Goodness. For the love of Christ.
It's like he breathed on him just a little bit too heavy, it seemed like.
Every time I want to start get people to turn the corner on, maybe soccer players, they're not so soft. And then somebody gets a toe in the bottom of their boot and goes down like their leg snapped in half. Like, he went down harder than James Conner did on Sunday, who actually did have a fractured ankle.
Yeah.
God, that was
an
awful.
Achilles. Who had the Achilles? There was an
Achilles. Oh, Najee Harris. Yeah, he went down.
Yeah.
He went down. Yeah, so fast. Anyway,
it's not as embarrassing. Did you see in the City Arsenal game the whole Bernardo Silva?
That was awesome. I was here for that.
The funny thing is when Trossard threw it back and hit him below the belt, a soccer player's initial reaction is just to always grab the face. So he gets hit below the belt, but his initial reaction is to go down and grab his face, and then he realized, like, oh wait, that hit me down here. Like, that's how bad it's gotten.
I am here for all the shithouse petulance that you can give me. That is just absolutely wonderful.
You made mention though. Well, go ahead. But
go ahead. No, because I think you were going to talk about how they shut Chicho down, basically.
Well, I was going to mention one thing on Berkey because you made mention about the save in the 77th. He had diving saves in the 80th and 87th as well. The 87th might have been the best one of all, but he played outstanding. I am perplexed. The first time hearing about FootMob's XG number that they had, how could there be such a disparity in between XG numbers? It seems like it should be somewhat official.
I wonder.
There's no telling.
Well, I wonder if David's is total XG, because I just happened to look at it. I wonder if David's is like total XG added up, and yours is, because it had it broken down into like XG in open play, XG penalties, XG on FOTMob. It's broken down into all those categories. So I wonder if maybe David's is just the general, like all these XG total throughout the game, and then Dave's is it's just in open play XG, and then because you were right, the PK, so like it has expected goals 3.30, but then it's 1.99 open play, 0.79 XG.
Yeah, penalty, I'm looking at it now.
0.52 set piece play, 2.72 like.
Get our intern to run the math on that. That would be great.
Well, it's still that comes out to like closer to. Well, you said it was closer to 6 almost, right? It was. Like
I had 4.9 is what STLCitySC.com has compared to City's 2.5. What did they have City at for XG?
1.9.
We also promised
for XG. Yeah.
We promised the fans that we would never talk about XG.
JB is going to be so disappointed in us.
And this is why, because the one time we do, we're like, I don't even know which one's right.
Yeah, I think that kind of underscores the point, right? Like the eye test being the most important thing to most people that watch the game. It didn't look like, even though they had to run a play a lot in the second half, I don't think that there was ever a chance they were going to score 5 goals. Now, Berkey had to make 9 saves, and some of those were really good saves, but I don't ever feel like, I never felt like City just kind of opened the floodgates. You know what I mean? I don't think there was ever any danger of that.
But on
9
the same
saves
token,
and the
I feel
McSorley, the McSorley block as well.
Yeah, right.
So,
But I feel like on the same token, cities would be higher too, because that Klaus header, I mean, that was a bullet header that was saved. Like that should have been a high XG. Like I think it goes in the same. I thought you'd think cities would be higher as well because they had some pretty well chances that were saved as well.
It's weird. How do you score 3 goals and your XG is less than that?
It's a whole thing. Well, because the XG, particularly on the Hartle shot, was probably like below like 0.1.
Yeah.
And I will tell you again, and this is the last XG talk I'm going to have today. There is no XG when there's not a shot on goal. So Mcsorley blocking that ball off the line, there was no XG for that play counted because there was no shot on goal.
It was on goal, no?
No, he
did.
It's not a shot on goal if the goalie doesn't make a save. It counts as a block.
Okay. Interesting.
I was perplexed by that, too. I remember asking Chat City Tactics about that because at the beginning of the season when City were bunkering in under the Olaf and they were blocking all the shots in the box, none of those went towards the opposing team's XG. So it's kind of misleading, right? Because if you've got guys that are blocking shots 5, 6, 8 yards away, you would think that that's a lot more indicative of a lot more danger.
This is why, like, as we say on the show all the time, fan how you want to fan, watch how you – but we implore you to watch the game and just look at it and judge by your eyes. Don't get caught up in these stats and all this type of stuff.
Don't join the box score brigade.
You will be so confused as to what you're watching or what the hell's going on. Like, you guys us talking about this XG now. I feel like I don't know what this game is. Like I'm like,
I don't like it.
That's not a save. That's not considered a XG chance. It's considered a block. Mcsorley off the line. Like that's crazy.
Let's talk about why there was another big reason of why there was only one goal, and it was the new center back pairing, which I guess maybe was an old center back pairing in Kyle Hebert and Timo Baumgartel. I thought they looked great. I thought Hebes looked like the same solid defensive Kyle Hebert, poor in distribution, but God, that dude, he's just so consistent at the back, especially when he's playing his position. When you don't have to play him out wide, when you can play in the middle, I thought he looked great. I thought Padelford looked really good. Conrad is not a defender, but God, he's got some grit to him, and he's got pace. I thought the back line looked fantastic.
I think that's why, though. Like, those two weren't asked to pass farther than 10 yards because Leuven dropped so far back to receive the ball now. They haven't had Leuven in there for a while. Hebert they were just telling him, you guys stay here. Baumgartel, like, is a tree and just wants to be planted within 10 yards. And then they were just like, yeah, you two young kids, you want to keep going forward, you go for it. We'll stay right here. And then, with a player like Chicho who just stays high and hopes to – kind of like we've been experienced with Klaus all year, where you have somebody up high, but every time they play it into him, you'd be double teamed on him, and two physical center backs that aren't going to let him, really hold up the ball. I think you're right. Like, it was a defensive lineup that was set to do what they do best, and they did it. And it was like, all right, Padelford, you get forward when you have areas. Conrad, just try not to give a foul up in the box, and we'll try and help you out with your defensive duties with you going forward and try and get crosses into the box. And Baumgartel and Hebes are just going to stay there and just work well together. And it seems like they're very simplistic in their style of play. And then when you have a creator like Leuven dropping so far back to receive the ball, it works out well for them. So you're right. Yeah, I think a big part of that was a worry when you see your, past center backing pairing not being able to travel. And then all of a sudden you got a new center backing pairing coming in. But the way they performed and just flowed nicely with the whole back four, you're exactly right. It's a big reason that they come out with a W again.
City wins its second in a row and back-to-back road wins as well as they welcome LAFC back to City Park on Saturday. So a chance to make it 3 in a row and get on what we call a winning streak, as I alluded to a little bit earlier on. They also jump in front of SKC, now in 13th place in the West. So if anything, a moral victory there. They have 28 points now, grabbing their 7th win of the season against a San Jose team that desperately needed 3 points as they find themselves on the outside looking in now. And that's a squad that's really struggled with City since City coming into the league.
6-0 against San Jose over 3 years. How about that? And third straight game with a point too. 7 points out of the last 9.
I feel like we're on hot ones right now with Paul Rudd. Like, who would have thought? Not us, but who would have thought?
Yeah.
Like 6-0 against one of the best.
Well, especially on the road, man. Like under Critch, like the efforts at home have been really great, especially in the offensive end. But the road efforts have been just kind of like some of them have been so lifeless. It's just inconsistent. But to come out and just take it to San Jose so early
against a team who had so much to play for, and us, like, let's be honest, less to play for, and that win also. I mean, it seems to be trending in that way anytime days, but it saved us from officially being eliminated from playoff contention like SKC.
That's right.
Because now SKC's officially eliminated, and City still has a very, very long.
What is it that?
What are the odds on that for City to still make the playoffs? It's got to be crazy numbers as far as.
Well, I saw that all the teams that are above City in the table have to lose the rest of their games. So RSL, San Jose, Houston, and Dallas have to lose the rest of their games, and City have to.
Pretending none of them are playing each other either down the stretch.
That's true. Well, I think that. Well, yeah. I mean, 0-0 draws. It's funny and it's great little coincidence that they are technically still alive for the playoffs. Like, it's not going to happen, but this team. Would you have thought that? Around the Melberg firing, that we'd be talking about being mathematically alive in September. Like, yeah, I sure didn't.
Points are precious.
That's what I've heard.
As we know, if you could have just grabbed a couple throughout the season.
Listen, you would drive yourself insane. I saw, I can't remember who it was, if it was on Discord or if it was on Reddit, but somebody threw out all like the really low scoring draws that they had at the beginning of the season when they just had no interest in going forward, and the points that they could have taken in the early Melberg era that they didn't because they were afraid to lose.
Somebody looked
can't.
all that up. Oh my god, that would drive me nuts. Like,
That's what I can't do it to myself, man.
Sickos out there.
I can't do it to myself.
Fall is officially upon us as summer is coming to an end.
I thought he was talking about the player.
Will be right. No, we're done talking about the game. We're going to transition over here.
Fallow's here?
Do is just keep everybody on track. He'll be on next week, I think.
He'd be hard to hide, man. That guy's not going to sneak up on anybody.
He will not. What will also not sneak up on you is winter, and that's typically, Eric, when people like to pack on the pounds. I got a feeling that your friends over at Ready to Live Wellness say not so fast.
That was a great segue.
We have you covered for your fitness needs throughout the winter months as well.
That's right. You can block off that winter weight by getting started now, and no better time to start now, especially now with this cooler weather coming in. They've got the garage doors open, so it's not a sweat box in there. It's just nice and cool. You get a great workout in, feel great the whole time. No better place than Ready to Live Wellness to check out. No matter what your goals are, they'll make sure they'll tailor their workouts towards you and make sure you're doing them in a safe environment, and that's what's most important, as well as making sure your body's moving its best with their body movement specialists, their PTs, their masseuses. They've got CrossFit. They've got bodybuilding. They've got personal training. They've got Pilates. They've got yoga. They've got so many different options, and it's in a one-stop shop. You can't beat that. And making sure you're doing it safe, plus all the activities that they have outside of it, whether it's ruck and coffee or sauna and ice. There's just so many, or sauna and fire and ice with their sauna and their cold plunge. There's so many great things that they offer there. It's one place. You got to check it out. It's Ready to Live Wellness.
That's Ready to Live Wellness, our title sponsor here on this program, 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. Remember, if you are looking to get swole like Eric Cole, you got to check out Ready to Live Wellness. Dave, as always, I represent, this time wearing forward, but an exclusive fit from our swag sponsor, the studio sponsor here, Warrior Logo Wear at 12 East Main Street in Mascoutah, Illinois. I've been seeing these guys out at the football games at Alumni Field in Mascoutah. They bring, it seems like, half their shop out to these games, and by the end of it, it's almost all gone. Hats, T-shirts, hoodies. They've got these giant purple chains with the Indian logo on them.
I saw them in the
well.
shop. Yep, they're awesome.
Yeah. They're selling everything, man, and it's just great products, great people, and what they're doing for the community here is fantastic.
Yeah, community and people are everything to Chris and his dad, and that's the main thing that I took from when I got to meet with him about a month or so ago. You mentioned fall and winter being upon us. That's hoodie season, brother, and no better place to go and to get your hoodies or maybe even your long sleeve tees while we're in the fall portion here before we get into winter at Warrior Logo Wear, and like DH said, 12 East Main Street in Muscoda, Illinois, or check them out at warriorlogowear.com. They can bring any of your brands to life. Chris told me they've set up just this year alone somewhere upwards of 150 online stores. That's the big part of what they're doing right now. They can launch your custom web store and handle everything from setup to shipping. They can even help you design a logo if you don't have one, or if you have one, they can help you print it on whatever you need. Any size, event, no order minimums, and they're perfect for any company or team, whatever you need. Chris and his dad are there to satisfy your team sportswear needs. So check them out, warriorlogowear.com. On Twitter or X, capital W, capital L, capital W, all lowercase on Instagram, or check out Brick and Mortar in downtown Muscoda, the official swag sponsor of the South End Supporters.
Maybe since we missed the Mankini season, we'll have to get them to help us out with some South End like hoodies or beanies or something. For
Who said we missed it?
It's true.
I mean,
The South End Supporter
Polar Plunge
swimsuit calendar coming up soon, I believe.
Oh, yeah,
so
that.
we'll need some of that for sure. Feature
plus
a
they'll
spread,
flop.
a centerfold spread of Dave Wyckoff just in kolaches all over him.
Well, plus they'll fly off the shelves when we finally rip off the last piece of that cardboard cutout of Wyckoff.
Oh, yes.
He is wearing
Yes.
the South End Mankini.
Yes, we could actually make it an advent calendar if we'd like. That might even be better. And each one has like a little mini kolache in it as we peel back the layers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it'd be a good play. We could talk kolaches all day long. I'm sure we'll spend plenty of time doing it on the following episode, which will air on Thursday. This one, of course, coming out Tuesday morning. It is time, though, for Elite News and Notes from the Back Post. Elite FT at 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois, inside of the Sports Academy. Dave, tell us a little bit about Elite FT, and then please enlighten us on the comings and goings and news and notes around this squad.
Well, Elite FT, as we've said many times on this program, is the premier youth sports training program in the Metro East, and they've been doing it since 2002 with a mission of providing a safe, educational, challenging, and fun environment where coaches can instruct and challenge athletes, helping them become confident, disciplined, and elite. I've got breaking news, by the way. We've got breaking news related to EFT. So you got until Friday to do this, all right? You got to go to eliteft.com or check them out on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. You have until Friday to do this. They've revamped their Fall Bring a Buddy Day. We're going to have two of them, Tuesday and Wednesday, September 30th and October 1st. All class attendees can bring a buddy for free, but you have to book to attend by Friday, September 26th. There's a QR code. I will try to see if I can put it out on the socials, but you can also find it at eliteft.com or on their Instagram and other socials. So, again, anyone who attends a class can bring a buddy for free, but you have to book by Friday, September 26th. So if you're interested in getting in any one of these classes, whether that's Bosco's Buddies or the Speed and Agility or any of the private team training, all that good stuff, you got to do it, but you got to do it by Friday the 26th. So check them out. Elite FT Soccer on all the socials or eliteft.com. The official sponsor of News and Notes from the Back Post, the Elite News and Notes from the Back Post. I'll start with the ones that DH already alluded to. Team of the Match Day. It's been a while since City had two players in Team of the Match Day. So Marcel Hartle makes the reserves, but Brendan Mcsorley with his 2 goals and an assist as a midfielder. He was a midfielder, which I thought was interesting because I don't consider that winger position to be a midfielder, but it is what it is. He makes his Team of the Match Day in his MLS starting debut. So very cool. And we talked about Berkey getting the snub, but again, it's really rare for them to put a keeper on there without a clean sheet. So kind of understandable there. The other big piece of news for the City 2 world is they have officially clinched the MLS Next Pro Western Division. And they did it with a lot of time to spare, man. 2-1 win on Sunday. God, they just keep winning. And I know that the team composition has changed a little bit. Demographic is skewed a little bit older, but they just keep finding ways to do it, man. Coach Hack, it's exciting. You know, what is this? Is that 17 in a row, Eric? Now 17 or 18 in a row?
17. No, I think it's 17. Yeah, it's something that you shouldn't have happen in like you almost want. I tell you what, you want to almost like go back and break down because it would be a little bit shorter of time. Is like where City 2 dropped points earlier in the year, like where they could have almost had an Invincibles style season, like thinking like going back because it's also tough for like City 2 because after extra time they go straight into PKs, so like a lot of those could be falling down on that. I know they pulled out a lot in PKs, but like you're not getting City 2 playoffs this year, but you're not getting the City 1 playoffs this year, but you're going to get City 2 playoffs, and it's going to be home field advantage. So good on them. Well deserved, and, number 1 seed, something definitely hang. But, hey, job's not done.
City 2 have
did
not.
this too. By the way,
Go
they
ahead.
did this with a 3-game losing streak back in April. I went back and looked at this. Colorado Rapids 2 beat them 1-0, then Ventura County 3-1, and Tacoma Defiance 4-1. And that was coming off of a 0-0 draw that they won in PKs against Austin FC 2 the game before that. So
I do remember they had
a tough stretch through April and the end of March, and for whatever reason, they figured it out since.
They have not lost a game since May 11th.
Ooh.
They got beat 4-0 by the Town. And I weirdly remember that because I remember talking about them around then as being more inconsistent than they had in years past. Maybe it wasn't that exact game, but it may have been around that 3-game losing streak that DH was talking about. But have not lost a game since May 11th. That is nuts.
Sounds like they took your words personal then. If you see
because if you look at it, it was 0-0, 1-0, 3-1, 4-1. Then they win 3-1, but then lose 4-0, and then it's been wins pretty much ever since.
How do you not lose a game for 5 months? That's absurd. Like
Yeah.
the puck luck, the bounces that you have to get for that many games to not lose, and
they
that
did-
and
they
a
did
couple of
lose
those
in
wins have been
PKs.
penalties too.
They did lose in PKs. They lost to Houston 4-3 at the end of August. They were tied going in, obviously, it's PK.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, I can see it now. Okay.
Yeah.
But even still, you got to figure they're missing so many critical pieces coming up and featuring for the first team. Like
Yeah.
you got to think about, obviously Joyner, now Mcsorley, Antwi's coming up a little bit here and there. They were using Zielinski for a little while, and now he's out on loan. Like they're also doing this, while having a little bit of a rotating starting 11 pretty consistently as well. So, dude, good on
That to
them.
me speaks to strength of system and coaching more than anything. That you can keep it together and have a rotating cast of characters like that and still get results consistently for months on months. That's system, man. That's incredible.
Do you think
Gotta
that
try to
highlights even more the fact that they made a mistake not giving Hack the job?
I was going to say the same thing, Eric.
I don't know because he seems to be really, really strong in that player development role.
I was going to
So-
say he just seems to fit the youth role
Yeah.
so much better as far as developing young talent. And I don't know Hack worth a damn, so like that, take it for what it means. But just from an outside perspective and watching the coaching and the interaction he has with his players, it seems like he's in the right role, and it's clearly working for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be as much as I would have, and I think we all kind of agreed that we wanted him to get the crack at the job because we thought that the results were, though the results were inconsistent, we thought that we liked where the effort was good and where the team was going. So yeah, I'm not really sure. This is one from Twitter, and I'm not super familiar with the source. His name is Pete O'Rourke. He is listed as a transfer correspondent for at Footy Insider 247. He's a writer and podcaster, so he's based out of England. He reported this morning, that Brentford, yes, that Brentford technical director Lee Dykes is on the short list for the sporting director role at St. Louis City SC. Now, this is rumor. This is possibly a little bit of conjecture. I got to figure that he's not making speculation, so who knows how realistic this is, but it gives us a chance to get really excited. I know that I was kicking it back and forth with some people in Discord. So if you're not an English Premier League fan, and you should be, and if you are, you should be listening to Red versus Blue that comes out on every Friday morning. Brentford have carved a really interesting and solid place in the Premier League over the last couple of years, where they've become a sort of a mid-table fixture where they build up from within. And like this year, they've sold off. This year, they had to sell off a lot of pieces because they just were so good last year. They were vying for Europe last year, but they haven't really dropped off in play this season. So, really strong club. My opinion, anybody associated with that club, if they were to come in and take a sporting director role in the MLS, I think that would be a huge get. Number one, because they're going to know 1,000 times more about putting together a solid club than anybody that's involved in the MLS. And number two, the pipeline to players in England. That is the gold mine, right? Like the amount of quality professional players just in the English professional system that would give you, conceivably give you access to, that would be worth the hire right there, in my opinion. So
what would attract someone to come to the MLS from the EPL?
So I'm not thinking championship. I'm thinking League One, League Two players. So there's so much talent.
I mean the
Oh, you're talking about from a director's point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, it's availability of a job that you could put on your resume. I mean, I don't think anybody's end goal is to be a sporting director in the MLS, but being a technical director for Brentford, maybe there's a lot of people that are in front of them. It is a growing league. It gives you an opportunity to kind of expand your network of soccer contacts. I got to imagine that the money would probably be attractive. I don't know what exactly would be, but there's all kinds of reasons. I think that would be an attractive position to me.
Yeah, my guess would be obviously it would be money coming his way. It would be probably an attractive offer. I think there's probably also less pressure as compared to like what he's probably facing in the Premier League of ins and outs and transfers, and just think of the pressure he's probably feeling from this year of letting go of their manager as well as their star player from last year. Like there's a lot more pressure. There's also, I think everybody's got to also have not that he's not facing a challenge, but like some sort of like new challenge of like, and there is an attraction to, or, coming to the States and living in the States. And, like Dave said, there could be people ahead of him that he just doesn't see growth where he's at, and he's just going to be seeing the same type of stuff each year. I think there's also like, whether it feels like it to us as much or not, but the MLS is growing in popularity, and, obviously the Messi effect has that, but you're seeing players like Son come here to LAFC or Mueller. Like you're seeing bigger names come here, and somebody like that could think like, boy, if I could get this team a star and what they could do. And, I'm sure City's really good at selling, that as well, being like, look, you'll be revered here. This town loves its sports, and you could be considered, I mean, let's face it, Lutz was a very popular figure, and you don't really know too many like sporting director names or call him by a nickname, let alone that, or people getting excited because he's announcing a German league. I'm sure they sold like, hey, look what Lutz did and how much he was revered here. If you could bring in a couple good players, a good solid coach, and get this team back in winning ways, you'll be up there just as much. And I mean, when you have Felix's Pizza and Kolaches, I mean,
exactly, that's the real attraction. David, you're muted. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, it happens. A lot of practice.
Now I can't find my mouse.
It's okay.
I don't know why I was muted. We're not the technical people. That's for sure. It's why we don't discuss XG typically either. I think that's how you get them. I think that's part of the contract. I think you throw a toasted ravioli his way.
Oh yeah.
Certainly a slice or two from Felix's would be nice. And I'm thinking definitely some kolaches.
What was his name?
The food.
Lee Dykes.
Okay, I don't want to try and wordplay that as far as slice names or anything.
Yeah,
like
good
that,
call.
so.
That's a good call. Yeah, you just stay away from that one.
We'll workshop it for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of nicknames, by the way,
Pepperoni Lee.
So before we move on, so we're talking about nicknames. So do we like Mcsorley better, or do we like Marty for a nickname for Mcsorley?
Mcsorley.
I like Mcsorley.
Mcsorley's good. Mcsorley's a little more chalk, I think.
I think that's what he has gone by is Mcsorley.
We'll have to leave it up to the people for that one.
He would have to have some sort of connection, like a goal celebration or something to Back to the Future that like you can then connect it to. I mean, he's got the hair, so it's somewhat close, but
Katie also threw in a wild card, Zac Efron. Says he looks a lot like young Zac Efron. So,
what was Zac Efron's character
older Zac
in High School Musical? What was his character name in that?
There's no way. There's a 0% chance Dave Wyckoff knows that.
I have not seen. There's a 100% chance that Dave Hecht has seen that movie.
So I don't remember his name. It's like, is it? God, is it?
So
Trent?
you're saying City has a better chance of making the playoffs than Dave does of knowing what his character's name? That's
no,
wild.
you know, I would. You know, sometimes I'll surprise you with that, like pop culture stuff. For whatever reason, I retain it a lot better, even if I wasn't like into it. I don't know what it is, but anyway, we'll throw out a couple polls out there and see what the preferred.
It was Troy.
Oh, I kind of like Troy. Troy's simple. You know what I mean? I don't know what to think about. I mean, think about like hockey, like Keith Kachuk. No one called him Keith or like Chuck or whatever. He was Walt. He was Big Walt. So yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah. Eric, that was all I had for the elite news and notes from Back Post. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I didn't. I think it's well deserved to mainly just highlight the news that we had of the boys and team in the match day, and then give City 2 their shine. So that's all I had as well.
Yeah.
Brendan Mcsorley, number 80 on the roster, number 1 in our hearts every single week here on South End Supporters. Eric, where can people follow us?
Follow us to help us out with that nickname on all our socials. On Instagram, we're South End Supporters. Our Twitter and our Reddit is _SES_podcast STL. Make sure you're also following us on our Facebook page, as well as checking out our YouTube to keep up with all things South End Supporters.
I want to say thanks, as always, for all of our sponsors, especially our title sponsor, Ready to Live Wellness at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. Remember, if you are looking to get swole like Eric Cole, you've got to check out Ready to Live Wellness. And our studio sponsor here on this award-winning program, Warrior Logo Wear. You can find them at 12 East Main Street in Muscuda, Illinois. We also just rolled out another edition of Elite News and Notes from the Back Post at 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois, inside of the Sports Academy. And coming up on the second episode of the week, as we do, we will preview LAFC. It will be part of our STL Kalachi Match Week preview. You can find them at 1530 South Kirkwood Road in Sunset Hills. We will spend plenty of time talking Kalachis on the next episode, as well as our favorite segment, the People segment. It is Felix's Pizza Pub, South End Supporter, 6401 Clayton Avenue in Dogtown. The best pizza and wings and experience you're going to have watching any City game this year. For Eric Cole, for the Monday morning center back Dave Wyckoff, my name is David Heck. You've been listening to South End Supporters. We'll see you next week, and until then, let's go City.